Coming up on Sports Paws, women's golf is exceeding expectations and men's lacrosse is slipping in the standings.
Plus, transfers, awards, and Simone Foster joins us for a live interview. Sports Paws starts right now.
Welcome into Studio 125. I'm Ross Megan with AJ Ferner for our final edition of Sports Paws.
Yeah, Ross, we have a full weekend of spring sports to recap, so we'll start with softball.
Yes, we will. Softball had a doubleheader this weekend on Sunday against Manhattan, and we start with Game 1. It was a cold day on Sunday, both teams having to warm up pre-game before the first pitch. We jumped straight into the fifth inning of Game 1. Bobcats were down 3-1 at this point. However, Kayla Thomas would change that and send a ball into right field, giving Quinnipiac's the Manhattan lead only 3-2. Moments later, Taylor Walton would continue to deal the damage to the Jaspers by hitting a line drive into right field for a double. Quinnipiac would then take the lead 4-3. In the seventh inning now, the Jaspers retook the lead in the sixth, but it did not take long for the Bobcats to come back and tie the game. Serena Fogg's single sends another Bobcat home. Quinnipiac evens up the game at 5 apiece. Then we would see a little bit of controversy here. Kayla Jensen called safe, but after some deliberation with the umpires, she would be called out.
I don't know, it was a close one, Ross.
Here in the eighth inning now, following a solid performance from pitcher Sydney Horan, Carolyn Walker would hit a ground ball right to Kristen Smith, but she could not come up with it, putting the winning run on base. And Kayla Thomas would then finish the job for the Bobcats by hitting a fly ball to deep center to get Walker home and win the game in walk-off fashion. Game 1 goes to the Bobcats 6-5. Then, all of a sudden, Game 2 happens. Manhattan would be the first to get on the board this time around as Jessie Rising hits it down the infield gap to give the Jaspers the early lead. Then the Jaspers were not done. Kaylin Flood's pop-up would get past Brooke Hillard and goes into the outfield. Carolyn Walker would throw the ball home, but she cannot get the runner. However, Kayla Jensen will make a strong throw to second to get Flood at the end of the inning. Then in inning number 3, the Bobcats would battle right back as Taylor Walton hits the ball down the right side once more to even up the game at 4. Walton would end up being caught after going for extra bases, going to second, tagged out rather easily. But when all was said and done, the Bobcats' 3 costly errors held them back, and the Jaspers end up walking away with an 11-5 victory, splitting the Sunday series with Quinnipiac. That was a cold Sunday. Again, Manhattan winning it 11-5 over the Bobcats in Game 2. And the Bobcats were at it again on Monday against St. Peter's in a doubleheader that was rained out over the weekend. The doubleheader was split. Quinnipiac won the first game 4-3, and St. Peter's won the second game 4-2. Serena Fogg and Bridget Nasser hit back-to-back home runs in the fifth. Jacqueline Gonzalez had a full 7 innings pitched. In Game 2, Dakota Pitts of St. Peter's was 3 for 3, had 2 RBIs and a run scored in their 4-2 win over the Bobcats.
Softball beat reporter Ethan Logue has more from Manhattan doubleheader.
The Quinnipiac softball team welcomed the Manhattan Jaspers to Hamden today, and despite being down multiple times in the late innings against the reigning MAC champion, the Bobcats were able to claw back and split the doubleheader, proving to not only themselves, but to the rest of the MAC conference that they are not a team to take lightly.
Like, if there's one thing I can say about this team is that they never give up, and that's something that I think that we could keep building on. We're such a young team, and for them to be able to do that and be able to never give up no matter what the score is, I think it shows a lot of character, and it makes us feel really good, like, going into this conference play, knowing that, we could come up with these wins even if we're down like 3, 4, 5. I think we feel really confident at the plate, which is a really good thing, and I think our pitchers are feeling really good too. And to know that we came out and we played a team like Manhattan tough, considering that they did win the conference championship, I think that for our mindset puts us in a really good place and makes us feel like that we can do it.
Though the Bobcats showed goodwill and perseverance today, there are still some areas that need to be addressed for future games.
Hitting was good. I think it's just putting all the other things together, whether it be base running and fielding. So I think if we could just string together all of those aspects of the game, we'd be an unbeatable team. So it's just those little small mistakes that we're making that's keeping innings going. So I think it's just small victories and do the little things right.
The Bobcats will be back in action tomorrow as they welcome the St. Peter's Peacocks to Hamden for another doubleheader. Reporting from Hamden, I'm Ethan Logue, Q30 Sport.
Thanks, Ethan. After an exciting weekend filled with MAC softball action, let's see where softball stands in the conference. We take a look at the standings. Quinnipiac in 7th right now. We had to put some dots in there to cover up 5 and 6. Quinnipiac at 2 and 5 in conference play right now, good for 7th. And they will play Siena on Wednesday, who we don't see on the board, but is 6th right now in the MAC standings.
Now to baseball, where the Bobcats traveled to play MAC foe, the Marist Red Foxes, this past weekend, looking to get back in the win column after dropping 4 of their last 5 games. First game on Friday, Marist uses a 9-run first inning to jump all over the Bobcats and take the first game 17-10. That would match the season high of runs for the Bobcats despite the loss. Second game, kind of still the same theme. Bobcats a little lower scoring game, 7-3. They get doubled up on hits. They drop the second one. And finally, this not even close for a third game, 17-5. 17 hits for Marist. Just an all-around blowout. With those 3 losses, the Bobcats find themselves toward the bottom of the conference as we take a look at the MAC basketball standings. Kind of like Ross has said, got to add the 3 little dots. Quinnipiac finds themselves all the way down at 8th. Just 1 win in the conference. Monmouth is perfect, 6-0. Riders sitting pretty at 5-1, and 2 other teams, Marist and Manhattan, also have 6 wins. Quinnipiac has some catching up to do.
Graduate student Mika Maples has been named the MAC Field Performer of the Week. She was recognized for her performance this weekend at the Colonial Relays at William and Mary. Maples led the Bobcats in the field with a first-place finish in the Javelin Championship heat with a 44.76 meter toss. That was good for an ECAC qualifying mark, a new career best, and the second best mark in the MAC so far this season. She also tallied a 13.33 meter toss in the shot put. Maples took 7th place overall and finished 9th in the discus throw championship heat with a 44.17 meter throw. Before we cross the line with track and field, the team competed at the Southern Connecticut State Wilton Wright Invitational. The Bobcats had a stellar day in New Haven, tallying 6 first-place finishes, 14 top 3 finishes, and the overall first-place finish as a team. The Bobcats recorded 157.5 points to finish first as a team. UConn took 2nd place with 76 points, and CCSU finished in 3rd points with 72 points. On the track, Marissa Kaiser took 1st place in the 10,000 meter with a time of 37 minutes, 51 seconds, which is a new career best. On the field, we mentioned Mika Maples' success. In addition to Amanda Minervino, placed 4th in the javelin throw with a 35.77 meter mark, which is a new career best.
Staying with track and field, Q30's Jack Main is joined by senior hurdler Simone Foster by the fire pit for this week's hot seat. Jack.
Thanks, guys. Super excited to be joined by Simone Foster on Q30 Sports' first ever hot seat. Simone, so great to be joined by you. It's such a treat to be able to sit down with an athlete of a sport that isn't talked about a whole lot. Track, one of the best kept secrets here at Quinnipiac, and perhaps the most mentally taxing sport there is out of any of them. You are the #1 ranked hurdler in the MAC right now. How do you stay so focused knowing you compete in such a mentally taxing sport?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. And I think the biggest thing our team always says is seeds are for birds. You know, you might be ranked first, you might be ranked last, but at the end of the day, it's all about what you do when you go out there. And seeds, you can be first and completely fail and fall apart at the meet. So I just focus on going out there, performing, doing my best the day of, and that's all we can ever ask of ourselves.
One of the biggest meets of the season was the Colonial Relays down in Virginia. Now, your team placed 5th, which was better than you guys anticipated. What was it like going out there and competing against some of the biggest schools in the country?
It's fun, and it's a really great change of scenery. We try to go down there for the warmer weather. It's either a hit or miss this early in the season, but it's fun to travel as a team. It's a new experience, and it's always fun to go against that larger competition. And we walked away with a lot of personal bests, so it was a great time.
You carry the team in terms of the track events, the sprinting events, but it's Mika Maples who is the talk of MAC sports when it comes to throwing, specifically in the discus. What makes her such a dominant athlete from her first year all the way up into her fourth year?
Yeah, so Mika's been here at Quinnipiac a while now, and the reason she's such a standout athlete is because she has the whole package. She's a team player, she's dedicated, she has that drive, she's always putting in the extra hours, the work. We all see it out of her, and that's what makes her so great. And you know what, we came in, I think it was indoor season, she was not supposed to win, and she came away and threw a bomb and won the whole meet. No one was expecting that from her, and that's because of all the work and everything she does behind the scenes, so she really deserves it.
You talk about indoor track, and we know that the transition from indoor to outdoor is also extremely tough. You go from a smaller track to a bigger track to battling the elements. What is the biggest struggle or the biggest strength for you guys when you transition from the indoor season into the outdoor season?
The biggest strength, I would say, is just our willingness and our admiration of just competing and being out there. You know, we try to get together as a team. We're always the underdogs every year. No one ever sees us come in, and we're never ranked top two, and every year we prove them wrong. And I think that's what drives us. We might not have the resources, but we have the will.
This team right now has skyrocketed into one of the best in the conference, but how has this team changed internally from your first year all the way into your fourth year?
Yeah, so Quinnipiac really has been a dominance in the distance events, and so far over the last couple years we've really picked up our sprinting events and have recruited heavily there. And so I think the difference is just our attitudes and how much we really care for our sport and how much we're willing to, put in the work and become one of the best in the conference.
Of course, all the great sports happen here at Quinnipiac. Track is one of them, and you can catch Simone and the rest of the Bobcats competing every single weekend wherever they might be in the MAC conference or on the Eastern Coast. For Simone Foster, Jack Main, back to the boys at the desk.
Thanks, Jack. Looking ahead for the track and field team now, a meet at James Madison University this coming Saturday. Now, like you said, Ross, a first place finish at the Wilton Wright Invitational, and Quinnipiac will travel to Harrisburg, Virginia to take on James Madison University, first of 17 at the Wilton Wright Invitational. QU had 6 first place finishes, and you can watch it at floatback.org. For live results, jmgsports.com. The Bobcats will try to build off their 4th and first place finishes respectively.
All right, still to come on Sports Paws. Men's and women's lacrosse was in action this weekend. We will break it down.
Plus, a few Bobcats secured some weekly awards. Find out who when we come back.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. It's here. It's here.
Wait.
What? I can't drive.
Why? My. Oh.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Welcome back. Sports Paws rolls on. Now getting into Quinnipiac Lacrosse. The Quinnipiac women's lacrosse team dropped their third conference matchup of the year on Saturday afternoon to the Manhattan Jaspers, 20-15. Junior Sophia Iacchino tallied 4 goals, pushing her season total to 17. Junior goalkeeper Kat Henselder made 8 saves for the Bobcats in the loss. Senior attack Sydney Skalstad and junior attack Desra Kelberg both recorded hat tricks in total. 7 Bobcats recorded goals in the loss to Manhattan. Now let's take a look at the women's lacrosse MAC standing. It's still early, but Quinnipiac finds themselves in 7th place after a 1-3 start to conference play. The Bobcats battle next against Siena on Wednesday, who is 1 spot better in the standings in 6th.
Let's go to the men's side now, where they're slipping a bit in the standings. Trying to avoid an 8th consecutive loss, the team traveled to Buffalo to take on Canisius, who had some struggles of their own, dropping 7 of their last 8 coming in. Down 8-7 at halftime, the Bobcats used a 6-goal third quarter to jump ahead. Quarter in which John DeLucia scored 3 of his 4 goals for Quinnipiac. Both teams put up 2 goals in the fourth quarter, giving Quinnipiac the 15-10 victory and their first win in MAC play this season. Getting the win wasn't the only good news that came out of the Canisius game. Senior Dimitri George won MAC Face-Off Player of the Week, while sophomore and reigning MAC Rookie of the Year Dylan Donnery won MAC Offensive Player of the Week. Donnery tallied 7 points in the Canisius win with 3 goals and 4 assists. George, the reigning MAC Face-Off Player of the Year and fellow journalism major, won 20 of 29 face-offs, bringing his career total to 468, just 32 away from the big number 500. And with the win at Canisius, Quinnipiac finally gets in the win column in MAC play. As we took a look at the standings around the conference, St. Bonaventure, who finished in 7th last season, is currently sitting at the top of the standings, undefeated 3-0. 4 teams are battling out at the bottom with 1 win, and Marist sits comfortably in the middle of the pack. Staying on the road and looking to better their non-conference record, the men's team will travel to Charlottesville to take on Virginia. The first ever meeting of the 2 teams will take place on Saturday, April 16th at 8 p.m., an unusually late start time. Bobcats have just 3 more games after the Virginia game to try to move up in the MAC standings.
So I was trying to think of a joke to segue into the next part, but I just couldn't. So anyways, let's just toss, flip, and kick our way into Acro and Tumbling. Quinnipiac
Nice.
graduate student Cassidy Osher earned her 2nd consecutive NCATA honorable mention after an outstanding effort against Oregon last week. Osher competed in 8 heats against Oregon and in the team routine executed 1 acro sequence, 2 tosses, 2 running tumbling passes, 1 standing tumbling pass, and a pyramid. She outscored Oregon in 7 of 8 individual heats. The 4th-ranked Quinnipiac Acro and Tumbling team dropped its regular season finale to 3rd-ranked Gannon on Saturday. The 2 teams wrapped up the 2022 NCATA campaign with just over 2 weeks until the national championship tournament. Gannon finished with a final score of 280.60660, and Quinnipiac finished with 271.815. Quinnipiac finished with a record of 5-3, and Gannon finished at 8-1. As we mentioned, the regular season has wrapped up for the NCATA. Quinnipiac placed 4th in the conference. Ahead of the Bobcats was Gannon University, Azusa Pacific University, and Baylor University. The top 8 teams in the conference qualify for the national championship tournament. All right, now we will swing our way over to men's and women's tennis as they both battle against Marist. Both teams came away with wins. The women's team cruised to a 6-0 victory, and the men earned a 4-3 win. The men are now 2-1 in MAC play, and the women are on the other hand, are a perfect 52-0 in MAC regular season matches since joining the conference in 2013 and 2014. Quinnipiac has won its 3 regular season contests this spring by a combined score of 18-2.
The weather is getting nicer and nicer for golf. Speaking of golf, Ross, did you happen to catch the Masters this weekend?
Of course I did, and Scotty Scheffler, huge win.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Kaylee Sakota Jr. and the Quinnipiac women's golf team took some hardware home of her own. After tying for first place at the Prospect Bay Intercollegiate, a tournament hosted by Jail Golf, Sakota won MAC Golfer of the Week for the 2nd time in her career. Sakota shot a 13 over par for the 54 holes and won the tournament outright when the judges went over the 3 tied players' scoreboards backwards over the final 3 holes, giving Sakota the win. Now sticking with golf, the women's team traveled to Maryland this past weekend for the Georgetown Invitational. After day one of the event, Quinnipiac was in 4th place as a team, shooting a 39 over par. Kaylee Sakota, fresh off the Mac Golfer of the Week award, was the bright spot for the Bobcats, posting a 77 or a 5 par for the first day. Bobcats would slip a little on day 2, finishing in 7th place, with Sakota shooting a tournament best 71 or under par, 1 under par on the second round. First year Fuge Zhang paced Quinnipiac with a top 6 finish.
To rugby news, the Brown Bears took a 26-21 win over the Bobcats in the Grizzly Cup Championship game to cap off the Brown Sevens tournament. The Bobcats took an identical 24-5 win over Sacred Heart in the other semifinal to set up a Bears versus Bobcats final. Brown closes the Sevens season at the Ivy Sevens tournament on Saturday, April 23rd in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I mentioned a moment ago about the Quinnipiac and Brown matchup in the championship. Now let's see the road to getting to that point. Both Brown and Quinnipiac won their semifinal games by a score of 24-5, and then Brown topped Quinnipiac in a close game, 26-21.
Well, Ross, it's not winter sports season anymore, but we do still have some news surrounding the hockey and basketball teams.
That's right, plus a special edition of Top 5 Plays after the break. We'll be right back. Everything is just completely off from what we did. Everything is different. This is just...
Great stuff.
They just played the
The
graphic too early.
Are there any cuts, or are you guys gonna figure that out?
We're already...
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Jules, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working.
I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. I'm AJ Fernor.
And I am Ross Meglin. Some off-season news about Quinnipiac winter sports now, and we start with men's basketball. Jacob Rigoni has left Connecticut for his home country of Australia, and he has rejoined his hometown team, the Sturt Sabres basketball club, ahead of the 2022 season. The Sabres play in the NBL 1, which is a semi-professional Australian league consisting of South, North, Central, West, and East conferences. Paul Rigoni is the head coach of the team. Jacob's first game back with the Sabres was on Saturday, April 9th versus the East Mavericks.
Well, from the court to the ice, a lot of good and bad news for Bobcat Nation, but we'll start with the good news. Head coach Rand Pecknold has been tapped as the leader of the 2023 United States National Junior Team. The 4-time ECAC Coach of the Year will be showing out his head coaching talents on the national stage. 2023 International Ice Hockey Federation World Junior Championship will take place on December 6, 2022, and conclude on January 5th, 2023. Although it isn't the first time Pecknold is coach at the national level, it's the first time he'll be a head coach. More postseason news. Senior captain Wyatt Bongiovanni has been named a senior class first-team All-American. He's one of 5 to earn the honor, and he's the first Bobcat in program history to be named for the team. Standout first-year goaltender Yaniv Peretz, in addition to being named ECAC Goaltender of the Year, was named the AHCA Second Team East. Preds put up 11 shutouts on the year and was half of the goalie tandem who set the Division I single-season record for shutouts. Finally, senior defenseman Zach Metza was also named to the AHCA, but the first team East. Little friendly one-up on his goalie teammate. And at the end of the year, not only brings graduation, but transfers as well. Graduate student Dylan St. Cyr and junior forward Ethan Lay entered the transfer portal at the conclusion of this season. St. Cyr spent just 1 year with the Bobcats after transferring from Quinnipiac from Notre Dame. St. Cyr put up 5 shutouts and made an appearance in the NCAA tournament game against Michigan, giving up just 1 goal. Lay, who tallied 10 points on the year, and also made an impact in the Michigan game, tallying 1 assist. Bobcats are getting a double-digit score back, though. Senior forward TJ Freeman will return to Hamden for his graduate season. Freeman put up 23 points in 41 games, both career highs. Freeman joins assistant captain Ethan DeYoung, Desi Burgart, and Michael Lombardi in coming back for another year with the Bobcats team, who made it to the second round of the NCAA tournament this season.
On the women's side, the team has announced the first signing of the 2022 season, Tatum Blacker. Blacker is a goaltender from Illinois. She will be the youngest goalie on the roster. Signings will continue to be announced as the offseason unfolds. And last week, Baker Dunleavy was available to the media, and naturally, as beat reporters, we just had to be there. Dunleavy touched upon just about everything, including the NIL rules and the transfer portal.
I think as a coach, for me personally, I'd be a hypocrite if I ever talked about those things like as motivation, because we just talk about NIL, and I'm like, if you play well, good things will happen. If we win and have good seasons, those things will take care of themselves. And obviously, when you're a coach, you have a family, those things weigh on you. But we have a good team coming back. We have a great staff. We work at an awesome university. I try to spend more of my time thinking of we're really lucky to be here. We have a great opportunity in front of us, and those thoughts every single year are 1 year thoughts. And so regardless of whether you have 10 years left on a contract or 2. That's how you have to think, or else you get distracted and you don't do your job well.
So AJ, what are your thoughts on Baker's quotes there?
Well, Ross, every coach, no matter if you're high school level, college level, or professional level, you're always in the back of your mind thinking, oh my God, it's a contract year. I got to play this. I got to win a bunch of games. And kind of like, just take it easy, like Baker said. If you win games, if you play well, these things will come naturally. You'll be rewarded with another contract, and they got a really solid team, so I don't think he has anything to worry about.
That's good. Good thoughts from AJ Fernrohr. All right, the Quinnipiac Club men's volleyball team completed their undefeated season with a championship. After the win, team MVP Thomas Young said, quote, "This team accentuates the Quinnipiac experience in the way we came together as a family so quickly. We were able to become such a uniform team in just a few months, and that is one of the reasons we were able to bring home this trophy. This club enables all of us to find a social outlet, and we have all found our place on this team," end quote. Typically, this would be time for top 5 plays, but this week we bring you the top 5 Quinnipiac players in the transfer portal.
Or else, naturally, we're going to start with player number 5. So up first, Brendan Mcguire, the men's basketball team, already confirmed he's going to Sacred Heart, averaged 4.6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Ross, I like to refer to him as Mr. Fundamental. He always kind of looked maybe a little lanky out there, but with Kevin and Jacob gone, that's a big loss for Baker Dunleavy's team.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We move into player number 4, Ethan Lay, the junior forward who was known for his clutch time goals this past season, netting 3 and tallying 7 assists. Lay put his name in the portal on March 29th, and we mentioned a lot of those players already.
Yeah, number 3, maybe the most surprising, Sajeda Bonner, the women's basketball team, probably their best perimeter defender, will outpace everyone on the court. Really brings a lot of energy and vocal leadership. She's going to be missed.
Number 2, this one came as a surprise to most when her name hit the portal. Amani Free. She averaged 7.8 points and 3.6 rebounds per game in her senior season, and she'll be a graduate transfer as well.
Now, number 1, this might be the biggest name you'll see. Ty Smolanek, forward, highest draft pick, in Quinnipiac program history. He had 27 goals in his 2 seasons. Maybe a little sloppy, a little tough end of the year, but he's another one gone.
All right, let's take a look at what's to come with the upcoming athletic schedule. Men's and women's tennis, some softball, men's lacrosse, and outdoor track and field, all in action throughout this week and into next weekend.
That's it for Sports Paws tonight.
Make sure to stay up to date on all Quinnipiac sports by following us at Q30 Sports on Twitter, our website, Q30TV.com, and on the Q30 app. For AJ Fernrohr, I'm Ross Meglin. Thank you for watching. Good night.